Welcome to another edition of Eye on the Issues. We are talking to Travis Deti. He is the head of the Wyoming Mining Association. Travis, thanks for talking to us again. We talked to you once before. I wanted to touch base since the abbreviated session is now over. How did that go in your opinion?
Well, thanks, Mike, for having me back. And, it was an interesting session. I think, looking at it from the mining side of things, we had a couple of bills that we were interested in, not very sexy issues, but we were successful on some of the things that we supported, and we were successful at knocking down a couple of things that we really didn't like. There were a lot of infighting in this session. Probably one of the most contentious legislative sessions that I've been through in my 13 years with the Wyoming Mining Association, and it was tough. It was and just a little bit crazy, but we pursued a couple of issues, just basic mining issues. We were successful in getting a bill passed to update our blasting regulations in the state. It doesn't seem like much, but we're seeing a lot of interest in some of our other sectors that are coming online, hard rock. And in order to get those up and running and start turning earth on some of those things, we had to update our blasting regulations. And that was a relatively uncontroversial bill. We also looked at a bill with a little bit of permitting on smaller mines. And our interest in this was to, set the playing field, if you will, for some of these new industry sectors coming online. The lithium, a little bit more of the gold, some cobalt, and this bill would have been just a way to kind of get them into production a little bit faster. Unfortunately, politics got involved in this, and some outside issues played a role, and the governor ended up vetoing it, and probably for the right reasons. So we'll be looking at doing some of this stuff again. But overall, we were able to knock down a bill from a member here in Cheyenne that would have upended the way mining law has been followed for the last decade, almost a century, and just not really thought out. And but consequences would have been huge on it, and we were able to stop that. And then I think probably the most important thing when you look at the larger debate over legislators trying to provide property tax relief for residents, there was a bill that would have in effect eliminated the residential property tax, which would by increasing the state sales tax. And of course, since the mining industry and oil and gas are the largest payers of sales tax in the state of Wyoming, it basically would have increased our burden. And I think where we were most concerned about that is, all of our vendors would have had to increase their sales tax, consequently, raising the operating costs for Wyoming mining operators. And a great big bill, kind of interesting, but not ready for prime time. And we were successful with working with our industry partners in putting that one down. So, there was a lot going on. We dealt with some foreign ownership bills, and what these bills are looking to do is to limit, what foreign entities can own property in Wyoming. We had some real serious concerns with that because, of course, we have mineral companies that are multinational companies, and again, not quite thinking through the consequences of what some of these bills would have been. We expect to see some of that coming back in the next session. But it was an interesting session, and we came out of it as an industry relatively unscathed. We got some of the things that we wanted, and we're able to stop some stuff that we didn't want, and thank God it ended. And it's an election year. We're going to have I think the makeup of the legislature is going to look a little different next year, and we're looking forward to see how things turn out.
Did you expect it to be more mining friendly, or you're not sure yet?
Well, I think generally in Wyoming there is a philosophical support for the industry. It's not a heavy lift to go out to legislators and candidates and and hear them say how, they support the Wyoming fossil fuel industry, our core legacy industries. But then when it comes down to it, and how you can support us and what you can do to support us, that's a little bit different. And so we'll be looking at some new legislators coming in, and we'll be looking to try to educate some folks over the cycle, and and get ready for a fun January.
Yeah. So as you look forward, is there anything that's key on your list in respect to the next session?
Yeah, we're going to be pushing for some tax relief for the industry, and of course, no one wants to pay their taxes in Wyoming, but our citizens have the lowest tax burden almost in the country because of the industry paying a lion's share of those taxes that run our federal government, that fund our schools, build our roads. We're in tough market conditions, tough operating conditions, and we've got to look to right size that tax burden on the industry, in particular the coal industry. So we've got a couple of proposals we're going to be running for some tax relief, not only just for the coal industry, but for the mining industry as a whole. And that's kind of our what's shaping up to be our big push for this session.
Understood. Now let's shift gears for a second, if we can, and let's talk federal regulation, federal, whatever the feds are doing. From there's two things that I guess are coming possibly at the mining industry, if you will, the BLM and then the EPA. You want to get into those a little bit?
Sure, and they're not coming; they're here. And I'll start kind of in general, looking at the entire industry. We've dealt over the past few months with a couple of BLM resource management plans in the Rock Springs area and up in Buffalo, up in the Powder River Basin. Just real troubling. This administration has made it quite clear that they are prioritizing renewables and conservation over traditional legacy extraction industries on federal land, and making it much more difficult to develop our natural resources, whether they be, coal in the Powder River Basin, or our trona and soda ash industries in Rock Springs in that area. And it's been an all-out assault. And most recently, the Bureau of Land Management came out with a resource management plan for the Buffalo field office, which encompasses the Powder River Basin. And basically, it's a ban on further leasing of federal coal. If we can't lease the coal, we can't mine the coal, we can't generate the revenue, the resource, and we can't provide jobs. It's basically killing the coal industry. And they've given us a date of 2041. After 2041, you will no longer be able to, lease federal coal, and that's really troubling. And this is on top of, a couple of weeks ago, when the administration and the Environmental Protection Agency came out with their Clean Power Plan Part 2, which basically says you can't run a coal-fired power plant without carbon capture technology after 2032, I think is what that is. And of course, that's absurd. The technology is not there yet, and it won't be there. And so, that's again, it's a transparently political effort to kill the coal industry in this country. And we'll see you in court is what where we're at right now. And I think you're seeing that it's not only coal producers and the coal industry across the country, but utilities are starting to stand up to say that this is just absurd. It won't work. Again, we'll see you in court. And so those are just a couple of things that we're dealing with from the federal level. And, I'd like to go back. I say, we get good philosophical support at the state level. And, the majority of our problems right now are coming from Washington, D.C. and the Biden administration. And
So
elections have consequences, man. And November is going to be critical for us.
Understood. So when you're targeted by the feds and you're an industry, I get it. The industry fights back. Do you get any help at all from the state in this battle? Because obviously you're providing jobs to the state of Wyoming.
Oh, absolutely. And the governor has been pretty forceful in coming out with the release of these rules. And, the attorney general and the state of Wyoming is partnering with, I believe, 25 other states that are litigating the Clean Power Plan rule pretty much out of the box. We're in the process of partnering, and the state is, I should say, we'll be litigating on a couple of Office of Surface Mining rules that infringe upon our primacy and our ability to regulate our coal program under federal law. And of course, we fully expect litigation on the BLM's action as well. So we are getting some help on that, and that's good. And especially on the EPA stuff, we get tremendous support not only from our governor but the other states as well. It's a serious issue, and you don't see many cases come before the courts where you have half of the country lined up against it. As far as 25 states, that sends a pretty big signal that the administration might be on the wrong track.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Now, I've been asked to ask you if you could explain how coal scrubbers work. Could you do that for me?
Well, I can give you kind of that really doesn't fall within my ballywick. You'd probably get a better answer from utilities, but scrubbing
Right.
technology, that's kind of the big overall catch-all for the technology that's used in either in a power plant or an industrial facility that goes on the stacks and basically cleans up the emissions. And there's wet scrubbers, there are dry scrubbers, there's absorption scrubbers, and it's basically just the technology that's been implemented over the last probably I'm getting old, so it's probably 40 to 50 years. Largely coinciding with the implementation of the Clean Air Act back in the 1970s, when acid rain was a real issue with some of our industrial cities, and it was just put in place to pull some of those pollutants out before they could get in the air. And by and large, emissions controls and scrubbing technology has been a remarkable success. When you think about it, since the implementation of the Clean Air Act, and I'll just say it's like coal use, for example, coal use in the country since that time increased almost 70%, and yet emissions went down with the implementation of scrubbing technology. And I'm talking pulling actual criteria pollutants as defined under the Clean Air Act, and that being particulate matter, nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, mercury, and those actual true pollutants have come down dramatically. And so it really is a success story. It's expensive. It's not, and it wasn't easy to implement, but as the technology developed, that's a problem we really solved with actual pollutants. And I'm not talking carbon dioxide, because I don't consider carbon dioxide to be a pollutant. But if that's the track that we're on right now, we're considering it a pollutant. I see no reason why, given time, you can't develop the technology to control carbon dioxide as well. And that's what's frustrating about the Biden EPA, is that it's just not giving you enough time to do it. And we all know why, is because he wants to kill the coal industry.
Amazing. Amazing. Last quick question. And you may or may not know the answer to this, with all the development of coal and fired power plants in China, for example, I mean, our coal scrubbers clearly, as you just mentioned, have been very successful. Do we know if they're even using that technology? I'm not quite sure how that plays out.
Yeah, I think they probably are. And you bring up a great point. I think they probably are. And again, we're talking about real, actual pollution. Uh, because that technology was developed in the United States and implemented in the United States, we're exporting that. So yeah, they're building these new state-of-the-art power plants with all this scrubbing and emissions technology. And I think that's a prime example that if you're talking carbon capture, we've got to develop that in the United States. We've got to develop it, we've got to implement it, and then make it ready for export to other countries. Because I guarantee you right now, the Indians and the Chinese, they don't give a damn about carbon capture. And they're not doing that. They're building good, well-run, working, state-of-the-art coal-fired power plants to burn that resource. And they'll use that pollution technology, absolutely, because that's where the technology is right now. But as far as carbon dioxide, they don't give a damn about that. And they don't give a dang about carbon emissions, and they're not developing that technology. So again, if carbon dioxide really is this existential threat that we're facing as a planet, which, take it for what it is, that's where things are going right now, though, that technology has got to be developed in the United States. And in order to do that, you need to keep our coal-fired plants running so that we can develop the tech and make it commercially viable. And then it becomes something that we can export to other countries to solve the carbon dioxide problem. And right now, we're not doing that. It's utter hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of what it sounds like. So if people want to find out more about the mining industry in the state of Wyoming, where do they go?
Well, you can go to our website. We're online at www.wyomingmining.org. And we've got some information up there on our four big major industry sectors and some other stuff. And check out our propaganda if you want. but we're proud of it, and we're proud of the job that we do for Wyoming and its citizens, and the contributions that we make to Americans all over the country.
Yeah, it's a great industry and it's in a great state. So Travis, we appreciate your time. People want to learn more about what's happening, you can go to wyliberty.org and sign up for our newsletter. Thanks again, Travis.
Appreciate it. Thank you.